Welcome back to the What Life. So today, after doing a fast chain gang ride that didn't end very well the other day, I am going to go check out some Factor bikes at a new store that's opened not too far away from me in Lane End. So we're going to go check out some Factor bikes, and I have to say the Factor OSTRO VAM, in my humble opinion, is one of the best looking bikes on the market. You don't tend to see too many of them. They are very expensive, Factor bikes in general, but they've opened a new store. I live in South Bucks. There is a place called Lane End, which isn't far from like Marlow, High Wycombe area. They've got a new store. I'm going to check it out and grab some details on the new release, the V2 version of the Factor OSTRO VAM, and see if they got a Factor O2 up there that we can have a look at. So stick around. We're going to go and review and have a look at some of the nicest Factors we can get our little mitts on.
We made it this far. Hasn't the pace been a long bit, honey? Take a look at where we are. Haven't we made it, my love? Oh, honey, look how we made it.
Fun fact for you, if you ever cycle over Cookham Bridge, this house here is owned by a construction tycoon. Cost £28 million, which is about 6 Factor bikes. I actually didn't have the address, and I found it. It's just on the high street in Lane End. Easy. Cute little place this. I've lived around here my whole life. I've never heard of Lane End. I think Buyers Velo is the distributor for Factor bikes. So they are responsible for storing and wholesaling and selling the bikes in the UK. So ultimately it means that you get a certain level of after sales care. Sorry, I'm out of breath. I did try and hammer it here a little bit, try and up my training. Here's a bit of a training sesh up the hill, because High Wycombe and Lane End is up a hill. I actually don't know whether they're open. Just let myself in. Let myself in and dump a bike on a bike rack. Hey man.
Hey buddy, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Do you work here?
I don't work here,
No.
but...
You part of the system?
No, not part of the system, but I'm looking at buying a bike. Slightly
Oh, nice.
like you.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not
So what I have been told is the gentleman that started Factor originally has now sold the brand to another person, but he, who originally started it, owns this company, Velo. So he acts as the distributor to the UK market, which is great, because obviously in many ways it keeps him very much tied to the brand, and he gets to do his thing. So it's these things that let you know that people care. You know that when you're buying a bike, you have people at the top that care about the quality of it and the after sale and things like that, which I think is important. We're going to dive upstairs to the studio in a second, but I think someone's buying a bike at the moment. So I've got a bit of time to take you through the Factor OSTRO VAM, which is V2. I'm gonna give you, first up, let's give you a couple of key differences between version 1 and version 2. Version 2, you have a slightly more hourglass header tube. So the way that kind of comes through, and they have also just widthened it slightly to kind of add. And the crazy thing about the Factor frames is this down tube, I think it's a gorgeous frame, like one of the best looking frames from my perspective in the peloton. Is the down tube I've always thought is really nice. It's kind of been, I don't want to use the term beefed up, but they've added a bit of depth to the header tube. And then obviously you've got this unique feature on the bottom bracket, which is, guys, I apologize, these lights are energy saving lights, so it doesn't matter what you do, you're still gonna get flicker. So you get this really heavily, or it's not heavily, but like this larger enforced bottom bracket area, which obviously builds in a bit of stiffness, a bit of firmness into the ride. And then version 2, been told that the chainstays are a little bit wider or deeper, a little bit thicker, which obviously kind of works in conjunction with these thin, it's always been a feature of the OSTRO VAM, which is the thin seat stays, sorry. Now, one of the other key features, and this is actually quite important between the version 1 and version 2, is they've narrowed up the down tube or the seat tube, so it looks a little bit narrower. And what I mean is this profile here, in here, that is narrower, which means that if you are running a Shimano, you can't really put a battery in the seat post anymore. So they've come up with this clever thing, which basically the seat post goes under here. And what it does is you get the cap to the bottom of the frame, you put the battery on top of the cap. So the battery mounts on top of the cap, like that, and then you take that and you push that up into the frame, and then that screws on. So effectively you take the weight of the Di2 battery from there and you move it to here, which lowers the center of mass from the bike. As to kind of how that sits, it might be too early to tell, and in terms of user reviews and how that works out for people, but that's their workaround to narrow up the down tube. So the Di2 battery, if you are running a Shimano group set, can sit underneath and goes behind the bottom bracket, which is quite handy. And then obviously you get the gorgeous front fork, the depth of that, and you know, I just think this down tube is lovely, and I for some reason I think Factor have really got their branding right. I think it looks great. But those are the key differences. I need to try and find out some info on weights, especially if there's a difference between V1 and V2, but this is, for all intents and purposes, the Factor OSTRO VAM version 2, and they do come with proprietary bottle cages. So while it seems like you probably could run whatever bottle cage you wanted, I think they do come provided with these kind of proprietary bottle cages. I don't see any particular reason why you couldn't get away with running any cage you particularly wanted to. But for the cost of the bike, you know, it feels like it's one of those services that they kind of means that when you buy a bike, you get everything you need to be on the road. So you cannot buy an OSTRO VAM as frame and fork. What you can do is you can buy the frame set package, which is everything other than the group set and the wheel set. So you can buy, which basically means you get the frame, you're getting the fork, you're getting the bars, seat tube, I think, and bottom bracket. That's what that one comes with. So you get like a frame set package. You then get a frame set package with group set without wheels. And then obviously you get the full package, which is a Factor OSTRO VAM, and dependent on what group set you want on it and maybe what combination of black ink wheels that comes with, I mean, that's like, you know, £11,000 is the rough number that I've got in my head for some reason as to what that costs, which is a good chunk of money. Probably the last thing to mention is that the OSTRO VAM comes with a ceramic speed bottom bracket. I think it's a T47. As a bare minimum, what you will effectively get is this with a ceramic speed bottom bracket. So you'll get seat post, frame, fork, bar and stem, black ink, and you will get a ceramic speed bottom bracket included. And that's the kind of base level where you start in terms of being able to get a factor frame. I have to say that the paint job on this one is, oh, it's so nice. I don't know whether it will come up with this lighting, but you can just see the subtle kind of marbling. And I think you can see some of the different, where the carbon is I don't want to use the wrong phrase, but carbon is bonded together. And one of the nicest things about the OSTRO VAM in terms of aesthetics is the way that you get this kind of really aero header tube. You get that hourglass front end, just so nice, and then it just transitions and glides its way to this very kind of small pinchy seat tube, which I just think, you know, and then obviously because they've narrowed this up, you can't get the Di2 battery in there. That will now sit in here and just kind of come up here just behind the bottom bracket. So it comes in and sits in there. So if you are running Shimano Di2, you will get your Di2 battery just sits in here like that. And then obviously you get the thing. We have to get some user reviews on how that's going down. Really tidy, small seat stays, and then you get these gorgeous, thick, strong chain stays, which just adds, I think, the strength to the bottom of the bike. Gives you that kind of power transfer. Let me know what you think of the OSTRO VAM, because I just think it's a really, really good looking bike. The way that it transitions from kind of wider, thicker fork components to smaller, narrower seat stays, and then the thicker, chunkier chain stays, the strength that's built in around the bottom bracket. I just think they've done a great job of building a really good looking bike. Let me know what you think. So just chatting to the guys, it seems like the Lane End store studio is only open Wednesday through Saturday at the moment. If you are looking to buy a bike, they did say the best thing to do at the moment, because they're not quite 100% up and running, is to drop them an email. So find the Lane End Studios info and drop them an email, and they will take you through everything. They've got a bike fitting service where they can kind of fit you, find the best frame size for you, and then kind of take you through the process of putting your bike together. They have an insane online studio of like how you build a bike and the way you can spec it out and the colors. It is insane. I have been online and checked it out. Other than that, I think the guy said lifetime warranty, and it seems like it's one of those brands where if you buy into it, you kind of become part of the family, the Factor family, and they, in theory, should take really good care of you, considering how much you spend to buy a bike. So hopefully, you know, you've seen, or at least we've gone through a few of the key differences between the Factor OSTRO VAM version 1 and version 2. Let me know what you think of the bike. I still haven't seen that many in the wild. They do some group rides here where you can test ride some bikes. Again, you'll have to check the website, but I think I'm going to try and do that and pop up and have a look and get a chance to ride one at some point. Anyway guys, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Next time we're going to be back out on the chain gang rides, where we're joining the not so insanely fast groups. I will see you on another one soon.